Anytime the little brother up the road loses a game to a school like Kansas in baseball, it just makes me happy, Jacob. Like seeing the fucking Bobhorns lose to the number 8 seed in the Big 12 tournament, just it's a 6-3 loss. They're not done yet. They play Kansas State tomorrow, but God, that made me excited. I was so happy to see Texas lose.
The thing that kind of pissed me off about Texas headed into their Big 12 championship games
For tournament, yeah.
is the fact that they were co-champions with, what was it, Oklahoma State and someone else. But
I think Oklahoma.
that's a co-championship. Congratulations, you won a regular season title. But there's also two other schools attached to it. That's not a ton to celebrate. But if you looked at them as if they had won the national title, I'm sure they lit the tower orange that night for a co-championship.
Oh, for sure. And I like what's his name, the Kyle guy that does the like Aggie Fact Tuesdays or whatever. Like I like that guy, but give it a fucking rest, okay? Just cut us a break. I don't want to see we've won 44 Big 12 championships in women's tennis and a co-championship in baseball. Give it a break, okay? Just give me a rest. Give it a rest. Anyway, that's enough about them. But I made me happy today. I saw that loss and I was like, hell yeah, brother. Go Kansas.
Every time they lose is a win for us, to be honest.
Every time they lose to Kansas is like a sweep. Doesn't get better.
Boom.
Time for an ad. Time to pay the bills. Jacob, it is one of the best places and only places that you can go to support local Texas State athletes, your favorite athletes. It's Elite Sports. They have good NIL deals with some of your athletes that you support every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday in some cases. So go support them. Jacob, what are some of the athletes that they have over there for us?
Well, they just signed Malik Hornsby, so stay tuned for that. But you go to elitesports.com. They have a whole collection of Texas State athletes you can get behind. That's Ben McClain. That's Michael Budin. That's Austin Smith, Xavier Pettis, Mason Harrell. The list goes on and on, honestly. They just recently signed, as I was saying before, Malik Hornsby. So get ready for all those gear drops. It's just an exclusive look. It's a way to give back to the Texas State community, give back to the student athletes directly. EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. I'm Jakob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State Sports Press, and we're here to talk about everything Texas State athletics. I want to start off first with what happened last weekend at the Sunbelt.
You jinxing the softball program.
You know.
Don't give him a break, folks. Tweet at him. It's your fault.
I did not say they were going to lose twice to the same team. We almost actually won A&M. We had that game clinched up, and they walked it off on us the first night. That was horrible. I did think they were going to keep Jessica out there for a little bit longer, because they ended up bringing her back, But what's the rule? What's the inning that you can't pull them out, and then they can't come back in? I think it's like you have to throw 5 or 6.
I think it's 5, yeah.
So,
that was...
They were playing it safe. They pulled her out at 3. Then Tori McCannon came in, pitched great, kept it close. Jessica came in, closed out the game. A&M's freshman of the year, whose first at bat was a home run. She's the Chase Mora of softball at A&M. Cranks it. Horrible.
And Jessica, please come back on the podcast and talk to us in the future. We'd love to have any softball player come on. If you are a softball fan or a player or a parent, this is cut later in the podcast. Jump later.
Yeah.
She was so confident, Jacob. She was so confident, and she almost
played well. They played well.
Well,
they bounced.
She almost tricked me into being as confident as she was. Like, that's how much confidence was oozing off her. I was like, oh, hell yeah, brother. We're good to go. And just to lose to A&M stinks. Now, granted, my little brother, who's an Aggie currently, does not keep up with the softball team as much as I keep up with our Texas State softball team. So this loss came and went in the Zimmel household without any razzing. of the older brother. I'm very happy about that. But man, I was convinced they were going to win, and that would have added to the lore of Mully. You know what I mean? The Mully lore. If she beats A&M after the confidence she had on this podcast and the confidence she had off air with us, this would have been a big, big win for her and the program. But to lose to A&M and to have the season end like this, it was a rough one for me.
That Austin regional is always tough. And if I'm on the softball team, which I'm not, but if I'm the representative of the softball team, I'm going, hey, we've been to a national game though. Like, when's the last time anybody else has been to the national tournament? So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to be that consistent, especially in the conference that we're in, especially given kind of the mid-season slump that they were in. And then, to see them come out of it, fight back, win a game too. They beat Seton Hall, sent them packing. And then they go up against A&M too and lost. So there was two real big losers in that. It was us, which got third place in regional. Yeah, Seton Hall is obviously the biggest loser.
I'm bored with the pathetic story. It bores me. Get on the ladder.
But
I never watched that show.
Really? It's a good show. Jillian Michaels.
Jillian Michaels was really mean. That's what I remember.
Do you know why they feel this way? Because you have the ability to work out like this. You have the ability to shut up and focus and do the work. But you don't.
She's a horrible person.
She was like, that I think really is like the sparker of like a lot of the fat phobia that occurs in America today. So I'm not a big Jillian Michaels fan. I never watched the show.
Well, they sparked that trend. That's like when the, what's it called? The trainers like gain all the weight and then they start losing it. That's like a TikTok trend now, basically. But,
yeah,
I
not
guess
very
it's
healthy.
Bulking for some people too. Like, oh, I'm gonna pretend I'm a good person and act like I'm really there for my clients when in fact this is probably just gonna help me down the road. Anyway, enough about the Biggest Loser. I think they did good though. I mean, obviously I wish we won. Obviously I wish we were advancing. But that Austin regional is always tough. Texas is almost a favorite now to win.
Shut up. Yes, it's always tough. Playing UT and A&M is always going to be a rough thing. I want to go back to the beginning of the season when we talked to Coach Woodard. When we talked to Coach Woodard, the confidence level then, I don't remember them being like, we're going to win the conference. I don't remember them saying like, we're going to go to the World Series. I remember them saying this is a really young team. This is a team that we're trying to find another ace. All that. So, okay, all of that in the rearview mirror, knowing what we know, was the season a success?
Yes.
Winning one game of the regional, it was a successful season to you?
I think getting to the regional, yeah.
I agree. I think getting to the regional, but I will bring this up. We never did find that second pitcher. We never did.
Yeah.
Torrey was supposed to be that second pitcher.
And I don't. Too. Anna Jones came up really big too.
Good moments consecutively, good moments tied together can lead to a good season. And I think that it was a good season, but good moments alone don't make a good player. And we're still looking for that second ace. And Jessica now goes into her final season at Texas State, potentially. I don't think she's going to leave. I think she'll do all 4 years at Texas State. Talking to her, not having that person who's going to like take the reins, not having that person as like a 1-2 punch when everybody else in the conference seems to have kind of figured it out. And when a lot of the better teams have figured it out, that to me makes me nervous going into 2023-24, Jacob.
I've been really big on scheduling tweets lately. It's a kind of a time saver for me, and I can just do work in advance. It's kind of like sending an email in advance. I don't want to bother people with my worries and stuff at 3 a.m. when I'm up. So I schedule a lot of things out now. One thing I totally muffed on, though, was scheduling out a tweet from Sarah Vanderford at Media Day ahead of the tournament. And she was talking about that very issue, is that they're a super young team. So getting to the regionals was not only like, we need to do this, like it was like basically like for this team to be successful down the road, you guys need to be there.
Right. I mean, that's the first thing I said. As soon as we lost at a conference tournament, I was like, okay, if we're not going this year, we have to go next year because the 9 of us graduating are the only ones who've experienced regionals. So I think especially this year, getting these younger ones the experience for regionals, kind of takes the pressure off of having to do anything next year. I mean, obviously that's your goal every year is to, that's what you play for, but I think it's good that we got it this year. So that way next year, like everyone's coming back. I think we had 5, but everyone will be experienced. So, I mean, we know what it takes. We are going to have to change some things, but we're going to go. So I think it'll be huge for us, and just with the experience piece.
And so that was like crunch time for them. That's why it was so like a good like moral victory that they sent Seton Hall packing, even though obviously people were also like taking it as like a fringe favorite to win. They're like, don't count the Pirates out.
Seton Hall to win the conference?
Yeah, well,
or to win the region?
Yeah.
Who was saying that?
Some weird guys on Twitter, but we won't
Seton
get into
Hall fans might have been saying that. But I'm saying, like, if you look at the
Seton Halling around, yeah,
their podcast was saying that they were going to win the region. No,
Walk
that's
the plank.
That's an awful take. If you looked at who was in that, Seton Hall was clearly the fourth best team in that region. If you thought they were going to win the region, like that's a wild dark horse pick.
If we only had played Texas in that second game, I think things would have been a lot interesting.
So if Seton Hall would have beat number 6th ranked Texas, and we got to play. Yeah, okay. Yeah, wishful thinking maybe. I don't know, man.
You know how good UT was playing too? Oh, it's ridiculous. I was telling you too, they played Seton Hall first because it's 1v4, right? And I think their pitcher, was only in the circle for 15 minutes the entire game. It's ridiculous. Strikeout. Strikeout.
And it's crazy because we started the podcast kind of crapping on Texas. Jakob very much hates the University of Texas. That's like his number one rival. I think that he hates UT more than anybody else. The fact that we were sending each other softball highlights from the UT win against Seton Hall, being like, holy shit, are you seeing this? Kind of tells you all you need to know about that softball program that we over here on Squaring Around, the number one for capital J journalism and fair and balanced news. They're really good.
I was like, we need this after an extra innings walk off.
So who do you root for now? Do you keep up with softball now as Texas State's out? Okay, so you're done.
Yeah, I'm a big team guy. I don't care. I know Tom Madden's favoring the Cajuns now since they had that win over LSU in dramatic fashion.
You're welcome. Me and Tom like that.
You and Tom linked up for sure.
For sure.
So y'all big Sunbelt guys, congratulations. If somebody wins, it's ultimately better for the league in the end. So good for everybody.
And it adds conversations because say the Cajuns do win, God forbid. That's what you root for. You root for them to do well, and then when they're like until they're in like a chance to win the whole thing, then you're like, oh, hold on, no, don't need them winning the whole thing. Just upset some teams, beat LSU. That's great. Don't win the whole thing. Coastal's the same way. Coastal baseball, we'll talk about the baseball team here in a moment. Coastal baseball has a chance here, I think, to make something happen, go on a little bit of a run. If they're in the World Series, I'm rooting for whoever they're playing. I do not need the Chanticleers winning a national championship.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, especially in baseball, too, some of these rivalries are getting really kind of testy in the Sun Belt. Because all these teams are playing really close. It's a mid-major, program, but also like these guys are beating ranked teams all the time. So,
and I want to slip this in here. And then we can move on. But the coaches for basketball, I want to say, got together this past week, and they are starting to talk about like, hey, you need to start start scheduling better people. No more cupcakes. Everybody has to like recruit better. Get a better schedule together. Because they want to make sure that the schedules are as competitive as humanly possible. So when it comes to like an at-large bid for these type of things, that like the Sun Belt can get a better bid or maybe multiple bids versus like, the ACC gets 15 freaking teams into the tournament every year.
About damn time they talk about that because what the hell is going on? We played a team who none of us even knew that team existed this year. The University of the Arts and Sciences, obviously the team of Mason Harrell's brother, which is perfect if we didn't have to explain that entire thing in the first place.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. No, allegedly, again, I saw this from our girl Kara at Arkansas State. She's talking about how like we're at the point now as a conference, we're kind of in, deciding, hey, do we want to be a serious basketball conference or not? Football's legit, basketball's legit, or women's basketball is legit, I should say. Baseball is legit. Can we make sure that the men's basketball side of things are a little bit tighter, a little bit cleaner. And I think that that's the plan going forward. So piggybacking off of that, baseball, really competitive across the board. These conferences, the conference rivalries are getting a little testy.
I'll say too, I was talking to you about this off air. From the conference perspective, softball, I was looking for all those sound bites. I wanted to see the players and coaches. Didn't see anything. So baseball's doing it. Basketball is doing it, both men's and women's. What's the deal? It's not that hard.
Yeah. Gotta get the comm guy on it, man. Just get that iPod out there and start recording these interviews. It's not that
literally
difficult.
just looks like this, like you and me on Zoom. That's all it is. So
I like to think ours is a little bit more high tech than that, but that's fine. Yeah.
So let's talk baseball, Zimmy. Big game happening tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm editing this right now as they're playing, probably watching it off to the side. Every time that it gets a little scary for me, I'm going to put that clip of the monkey clapping the cymbals from The Simpsons. We'll see how scary it gets at the end of the night. But rest assured, your boys on Squaring Around are covering it. Panic level? At the moment, Zimmel. What do you think?
I'm not that panicked. I feel pretty good. Talking to Chase, he feels pretty confident. The only thing that kind of has upset me is that the fact that Alabama has a Riverwalk. I thought San Antonio had like a trademark type of deal. I think we need to talk to the mayor about that. What do you mean other places can what are you pulling up here? We're not scared of anything. We're from Texas. Slam Marcus. Okay. Jakob showing off the Slam Marcus shirt. He's not scared of anything. So you are 0 as well.
I don't know. We got to talk to Chase, which is sometimes been our ace in the hole in games. Obviously, we said it to himself. When you're winning 4 games, it doesn't really matter what the rest of the team does, as long as you hit 4 home runs in a game.
Yeah.
But I think at the beginning of the season, you and I had talked about this too, is the cardiac cats, as we like to call them, and Slam Marcos as a whole has sometimes been a detriment to this team because we're looking for those long balls. We're looking for those easy outs. And that's not really how baseball is played, especially against a team who has stolen the 3rd most bases in all of college baseball. That's crazy.
We've stole the 3rd most bases? No.
The Raging Cajuns.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was like, I saw us on the base pass. I'm like, that would be real surprising. No, I get where you're coming from. Coastal's. I think about it and I say to myself, I'm like, the pitching, it never really came. You know what I mean? And like when you lose like the number 1 closer in the country, like that is always going to be a really tough shoes to fill. But I never really saw it. The pitching kind of coming together. What do you think? Is that going to be the thing that holds us back?
I don't know. I like some guys in the bullpen too. Like I know we can close games. Cam Bush, Jack Strout. Jack Strout, there was absolute gas. He was the starter for a while. It kind of flipped around some days, and he was a Tuesday starter, Thursday starter sometimes. But he throws great. I think he pitched like 7 or something at UTSA. I was like, dang, this is potentially a guy working his way up onto the weekend list. But he pitches great. I don't know. I think in the right moments we're good. I always think Trout's first game, the way he stacks it and his lineup is exactly what it needed to be. So I'm really looking forward to what he's pitching tonight. Who's they're throwing tonight? Because that'll be a really big indicator for the rest of the week. Obviously, double elimination.
Yeah, but
so
you
lose
think
tonight,
you think he's a pretty good game 1 manager, but you don't think he's a very good game 2 manager?
I don't know. Because if let's say they throw a big stinker tonight, they might just pull Levi or whoever their best pitcher is up that night. I mean, it's obviously going to be Levi. Same thing as Jessica.
So do you think is tonight a must win? I know we're recording this and things will be changing and all that type of good stuff, but like, do you think this is a must win tonight?
I think, well, if we win this one, I think our next opponent we would play is like Southern or something, right? So
and they're damn good too.
Yeah, so it's like either way we're kind of screwed because we're going to come up against either Southern or Coastal somewhere along this whole way because they're just going to fly through everybody.
I like where you're coming from with this. I think the Trout I think last year he was a better in-game manager. I thought he moved around. I think he had more options last year too. That's where I'm coming from. I think he had more options last year. I think he's kind of working with, I'm not saying one hand tied behind the back, but I do think he's got a couple broken fingers here when we talk about like working the pottery, working the clay. So I think that tonight is a must win because I think that you can't go into the rest of this weekend with a loss already on you. You got to come out of this one clean so that if, say, you do lose to Southern, you still have a little bit of life. But yeah, man, it's this conference is really good. The expectation to go back to the super regions, go back to, playing the Stanfords of the world, playing the UCLAs of the world, brother. I hope that we get there, but right now I'm not feeling like that's where this team is destined to go. I feel like this team is.
You know who's due though? Jose Gonzalez. Chase Moore was talking about it. He's due. He's going to come up big, I think. He's had a really great senior day. The team shut out ULM ahead of this too, so I think that was a good get back game. After Trout also got tossed at TCU, which is his alma mater. A lot of feelings are had about that online, but I don't know. I think
from Texas State fans weren't happy they get tossed.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they didn't think that it was a good toss, or did they didn't think
it was the world's quietest toss out? Did you see it online?
Yeah. Okay. So people were upset that he got tossed. They thought he should have got tossed for more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if he had made a scene, but that's not really his style. He's a pretty reserved dude. He's pretty chill.
Yeah,
I mean, the way he was talking to us was super chill.
No, I get it. I get where you're coming from with that. Denver Nuggets head coach Mike Malone just straight up game 4 said "fuck you" to the ref, and I think he got a technical foul for it. And I think that sometimes as a head coach, that's kind of what you got to do. Just start it early. Be like, hey, ref, you call the game that we did earlier this year. You messed it up. Just F you, man. And that sometimes that is what happens. So I mean,
if you're gonna get tossed, might as well just tell off the ref. Make a scene, as long as you don't get fined or anything.
Get your money's worth. And did he get fined, Mr. Bag Watcher, Mr. Pocket Watcher?
People were asking me online. Again, I couldn't really check because the Big 12 blocked me out from their media access. Totally not intentional, I'm sure, but I didn't have
I'm sure.
Code.
I'm sure. Yeah. It's funny because I am like technically I daylight or at night. What would it be?
You moonlight.
I moonlight as a TCU reporter. So this is always cracks me up that
Shout
like
out
that happens
Hypnotoad.
to you. Huh?
Shout out Hypnotoad.
Hypnotoad podcast. Go subscribe. Harlan College Sports Podcast Network. Get those reviews and likes up, boys.
So yeah, I guess I don't know. In a double elimination game, you really don't want to lose the first one because that makes every other game you play super necessary to win. So you want to go in tonight putting the pressure on one of the better teams in the conference immediately.
100%. Yeah, no.
And if our team is as hot as they say we are, we should have no issue. Because if you look at it, the Raging Cajuns need stolen bases to win. They don't have the bigger bats.
So 2 things.
We're standing next to them in the urinal. They're looking over. I'm just saying.
When a team tells you that they're hot and they win, you're like, damn, these guys are really confident. When a team tells you that they're hot and they lose, they're wrong. And here's the thing. I don't think this team is very hot. I don't think beating ULM is like that big of a like feather in the cap. So to be like, oh yeah, we're really coming back in a row, and I'm like, okay.
If
good luck. I hope
would that have been better for you? Because we lost the second game to them, right? So if we had swept them outright, would that have been a better temperature gauge?
Sweeping ULM doesn't do anything for me. Beating TCU would. You know what I mean?
That game got ugly too. I was too busy celebrating Wembanyama. I think we talked about this last week on the ROF.
Yeah.
We were a little busy celebrating Wembanyama. You and me literally called each other in tears last week.
Yeah, no, for those of you that don't know, Jakob and I, big Spurs fans. Jakob, a little smaller of a Spurs fan than me in stature. But no, we were like very excited. Through the moon. One of the only things that San Antonio has that we root for is the Spurs. So when they get stolen by Austin, hey, I'm all in, baby. Let's go.
They're going to have to make a new stadium or just let them play at Q2, though. They don't have anywhere as big, since they're taking out the Irwin Center.
I'll tell you what, brother. Listen to this shit. When Wembanyama comes to town, all of a sudden we play 40 games in the Alamo Dome, baby. Every game is a $60,000 or $60-man sellout.
I did agree with Taylor that it shouldn't be those last season games. It should be something early or something mid, maybe during like the rodeo run when they are out of season or out of town for 2 or 3 weeks,
Well, I don't know why you have the rodeo run at all if you can play the games at the Alamo Dome. Just find a way to schedule really good opponents, Dallas, Golden State, whatever. I don't want to talk about San Antonio Spurs. I do want to talk about wrapping up the baseball deal right here. So, like, expectations. Again, games happening as we're recording. Or game has not happened yet as we're recording this podcast. Expectations. Next week we talk and we say baseball did blank.
If we get shut out tonight, we're fucked. Like, that's point blank simple, because that's the only thing we have going into this game is that people are afraid of our bats. So if we get shut out tonight, that's such a bad litmus test for this.
Okay. All right.
If we don't, hey, yo, what's up, cats? I'll be watching, though, regardless. Monkey. Texas State broke ground this week on the endzone complex, what they're calling the Football Performance Center, soon to be named after the two alums who donated $4 million earlier. This was announced earlier in March.
Wasn't us.
It was
breaking
not
news.
Us.
Wasn't us.
Surprisingly, but me and Zoma wanted a new boat. Obviously Alyssa wants some money from this podcast now. Getting a little bit too big for my britches.
Our brand manager's asking for where the paychecks are coming from. Look, I get it.
Yeah.
The SS Boko just needs to set sail out of the port. No. All right. I got a question.
Well, before that, Zimmel, I have a 4-minute thing that I'm going to insert here that explains everything that you missed.
So you can see, we have a beautiful football stadium. I would put this stadium against any team in our conference. I believe now with this groundbreaking and what we're doing here, we're going to make this facility even better. I think we're going to have the top football performance center in our conference. I can tell you this project is going to completely transform the way our student athletes operate and their athletic experience here. We're going to add a massive, and you see all the beautiful images here on our video board. We're going to add a massive 8,000 square foot weight room, which is going to come out all the way to the end zone. It's going to be where we're standing right here. We're adding a new training room, which is going to be almost twice the size of our current training room. It's going to have hydrotherapy tubs. We've got new team meeting space for all of our different position groups. For example, we're going to have a defensive back room. We're going to have a linebacker room. We're going to have an offensive line room. We've got several unique hospitality elements that are going to be a part of this project, including an awesome rooftop patio that's going to be on top of our weight room here, which we're so excited. We had the Cats Garden, and we're going to take the Cats Garden elements and elevate it and put it on top of this weight room for everybody to stand and hang out and overlook the football team on game days. We've also have this building designed to add a third floor hospitality space above our Warren room behind me, and then we would like to connect our concourses here with the south end zone as well. So very excited about what this project's going to do for us. I can tell you from a student-athlete experience, it's going to make us more efficient. It's going to improve our recruiting. This will be the very first building that we bring all of our recruits in to show off just how great Texas State is. I can tell you in the world of the transfer portal, it's great to have a building like this because this is going to help us with retention. It's going to allow us to keep more of our student athletes here. It's going to allow our student athletes to get treated quicker. They're going to be able to work out in larger groups, and they're going to be able to spend more time with their coaches and their specific position groups with the right technology in these team meeting rooms that they need. And again, I will tell you, this is a really important part of what we need to do to turn our football program around and win more games. This groundbreaking ceremony is just the beginning. We need to do more, and we're going to continue to raise funds to complete all the phases of this facility and start our other future projects as well.
It goes without saying, I'm super excited about this fall semester. We'll be welcoming the largest freshman class in Texas State history. It shouldn't have come to a surprise to any of you who've been listening to me for the past little while, but we have 42,000 high school seniors have applied to attend here. High school seniors in the state of Texas have applied to come here in the fall. We'll have a record-sized freshman class. We're excited about that. And I will be telling them that there's a whole section over there with their name on it. They got 6 Saturdays in the fall semester to make memories that will last a lifetime. And I'm excited about the coaching staff we brought in here, the players that they're bringing in here as well, because we also want to fill this side of the stadium and that side of the stadium as well.
Exciting. I want to start by thanking Johnny and Natalie Weissman, Bo and Darlene Trevelyan, Scott Emerson, and every one of the Bobcat fans who supported this project so far. I've said this before, and after being here for 5 months, I believe it even more. If the right person got this job with the right levels of support from campus and administration, you better watch out. We have hosted hundreds of recruits and their families in my first 5 months on the job, and they see what a great facility we have right now. But with this new end zone complex, it will make our pitch to the next generation of Bobcats even stronger. We will have a complete facility that will make people say, wow. We will have a weight room that rivals some of the top programs in the country and create better scheduling for our student athletes. We will have more meeting spaces and ability for our team to build a strong culture. Everywhere our current and future Bobcats will go, their complete experience as a student athlete will be improved, which translates to the field and the next stage of their lives. Today's groundbreaking is a beginning. Thank you all for getting us here. Now let's go to work.
Do you care about this? Like, legitimately, as a fan, like, I understand, like, as an older fan or somebody who had to deal with, like, Texas State with bats and, like, you know, when the Southwest was the beginning of the name and you had to explain to people that you go to directional school. Like, for those fans, I get it. This is a huge deal. But for you, Jakob Rodriguez, do you care about this? Like, is this something that you, like, gets you giddy?
This is like when Texas unveiled that uterus thing at their end zone complex, you know, in the shape of the Longhorn, obviously, is what I'm talking about. But it expanded their thing. Also, right now in the Texas legislature is a bill that says that UT can make a scoreboard that can now cast a shadow over the Capitol. I don't know if that's going to get passed or not, but it's the same law that exists in San Antonio.
Shouldn't get passed. Veto that. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen.
Yeah,
I feel
I want all the Aggies. I want all the Red Raiders who are Texas State senators and Texas State representatives to just shut this down, man.
Shut that down. Don't let that happen,
down, man. Because if this was in Fort Worth, the same freaking people would be shutting that down too. And the same thing in San Antonio. The same thing everywhere else. So don't let those Austinites get away with shit.
Don't let them get away with this. Very strong anti-UT podcast today.
Oh yeah, sorry, everybody on the Republican Football Network. No beef with y'all, just your institution as a whole.
That's a tease. Yeah, man. Look, I care about this. I think that's going to be really cool. I am more worried about what's happening on the field. I've always been more worried about what's not happening on the field than the facilities or anything else like that. I understand better facilities brings better recruits. However, tell a 16-year-old that we're getting a new end zone complex. See how much like they care. They don't. They want the cool uniforms. They want to win games. They want a head coach that's going to make sure that the Powerade jugs are full. Those are the things that they care about. So for me, as somebody who's like a little bit younger, I'm like, cool. You know, this is great. When I'm older and I have kids that are going to Texas State and I can go party in the end zone complex as a 40-year-old guy, I'm going to be ecstatic. But this isn't for my demographic, so I don't really, it doesn't jazz me up, but I get why people care.
It's like when the Castro Club got unveiled. The exact same thing, you know, at Strand. Remember that?
Oh, I thought you meant something completely. You said Castro Clip, and I was like, what the hell is this guy talking
Castro
about?
Club, I'm sorry.
Got you.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
Del Castro.
Dictator. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about here?
No, I'm not talking about Castro on this podcast.
Gotcha. Yeah. Proud Cuban American Jakob Rodriguez.
I'm not a Cuban American, first of all. Mexican American. Mexican, honestly. That's what I put on all my things. Anyway, I think it's good ultimately. Like, we're talking about the college football arms race, and that's kind of what Don was alluding to in that clip I played earlier, is this is going to help us in the long run. You know, people are going to see that we're throwing money at this because money talks and bullshit walks. If we walk in with the same stuff that we had when David Bailiff was still the coach over here, people are going to ask some tough questions. Like, hey, why do you know the exact layout of this entire building, even though 15 years have passed?
So let's wrap it up on this. Famously, Bobcat Stadium is a horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
Do we close the horseshoe?
That's ultimately what they want to do.
Okay.
Is create those like connections for the concourse.
I think that's a great idea. I think that closing it up would be a good idea. I'm going to miss a horseshoe. I'm going to feel bad that we never won anything of significance, did not do anything. Well, let me rephrase that. Did not do anything of significance in the FBS era to fill and pack that stadium the way that it should have been packed when it was a horseshoe. Because there's nothing better, in my opinion, than having a horseshoe stadium and a really damn good football field or football team on the field. There's only, look, in our lives, Jacob, there's like twice that place actually got sold out. You know what I mean? So that kind of stinks. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that we were doing a better job putting fans in the stadium when it's a horseshoe.
I had no, like, when I came to Texas State, I had no real, like, I guess barometer for like college football engagedness, you know? My parents had always been like, the teams weren't that good when I was there. And I was like, oh, whatever. They just got a new coach, you know? Obviously things will be good. The freshmen always go to the Bobcat Stadium as part of their whatever week that
brainwashing.
Yeah, institutionalization. And you know, you fill the stadium and stuff, you hang out, you take a couple pictures and stuff. GJ Kinney probably will give a speech or two. And I was like, wow, this is going to be great. And then I go as a fan, not even as a journalist yet. And I'm like disappointed the entire time because there's nobody there.
What was the first game you went to?
And not only that, I went to, I think, every single home game as a freshman, as a student.
So the Houston game was our freshman year.
No, it wasn't.
And that was great. Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good for the first quarter until Houston.
Well, the environment was really good too. That's what I'm thinking more of. The environment was really good. And that was the only time in my recollection that it was like sold out and it was packed. And I get it. Houston was nationally ranked and everything else. But like, imagine a Saturday and it's App State coming into town and it's like that. You know what I mean? Or imagine it's Troy and it's a rivalry game, you know? And that, there's nothing better than having the Horseshoe Stadium when you do that. When it's a Coliseum, when it finally closes up, it takes a little bit of that college football feel away from me. I don't know why. It just kind of does. So yeah, that's to wrap up on our construction. Bob the Builder, Don the Builder, building it. If he gets this done, like if he gets the end zone complex done and it looks really good, can we bury some of this Denise Trout the Builder crap that you peddle on this podcast?
I'll say it too. She's also donated a bunch of stuff on Cat Funder. You know, that's the university's new way to donate to stuff basically all the time. It's basically their version of GoFundMe. But a bunch of these causes you'll look up, and she's probably one of the first people that have donated $1,000 or more.
Wow, Denise, deep pockets. That's where Jacob gets it from.
Can you tell I have been a little knee deep in the weeds since the regents are in town in San Marcos? Actually, the Texas State University System regents are voting on a bunch of things. A few things actually impact the athletics department. One of them being they're hiring a search firm to look up a corporate sponsorship. I think that is either slated towards football, maybe? I don't know.
Call us. I'll call some CEOs.
Yeah. So they're hiring Independent Sports Entertainment, which sounds like a fake company, but I assure you it's real. ISE. And then the other thing, I think they're officially canceling the Liberty game. $250,000 goes to the Cats for doing nothing. Shout out Liberty. And
yeah, the welfare state that college sports has become.
And what else? Honestly, everything else is like kind of fodder. Yeah. Those are the big things. Oh, Kelly Danfus is actually asking the regents for permission to name the stadium after those two alums I was talking about earlier.
Name the stadium or name the end zone complex?
The end zone complex. I'm sorry. You're right. And this is like the hero level of like commitment to the university athletics department is what they're calling it. So it's Johnny and Nathalie Wiseman. Nathalie Wiseman was like a two-sport athlete. The second sport was for sure track. I'm not sure what the first sport was.
What do they do now where they have $4 million to give away?
I don't know, but if you need an assistant, better call Jacob. How's it going?
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, shout out. That's going to be like a motion that they do after the meeting to basically add it to new business for the next regents meeting to officially name it, since they went from anonymous donors to now public donors. So shout out the Wisemans, bro, because I don't have that money. So thank you for stepping up.
Got that bread.
How many free t-shirts do they get with that donation?
I imagine every time they go somewhere, whatever is available, they get. You know what I mean? Like when you give that much amount of money, it's like you want a coffee cup, you want some pens, you want a t-shirt, you want to, whatever we have on deal for it. You want a ball, here's a ball, you know. When you get to that level of like giving, which we're gonna get to at some point, you just show up and they give you stuff. Like technically, they're kind of doing that right now for us.
Hey, you never know.
You know what I mean? Sprinkle that in there a little bit.
Got the shirt right there. Alumni, baby.
Alumni over the nipples.
Moving on. I want to talk a little bit about some beef brewing in the college football sphere. And it impacts someone very near and dear to our heart. Someone our viewers are very familiar with.
Mike Craven.
Mike Craven.
Our coworker.
Shout out Mike Craven, who created was him and Ish and the great elders at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, who created the Republic of Football podcast. Our employers, and Colton McWilliams, the San Marcos Daily Record.
See, that's what you wanted to go to. Near and dear to our heart, college football insider Colton McWilliams, or Texas State insider Colton McWilliams. Yeah, Colton, man, you set it up, and I'll give you my thoughts.
Okay, so this is from Colton again. This is just a tweet that he has out today. I really enjoy Craven Mike writing, but I'm going to push back on this one statement. It is wildly disrespectful to call the I-35 rivalry matchups where one program sees it as more of a rivalry than the other can be scary for the favorite because Texas State UTSA is not one-sided. That's Colton obviously referring to the I-35 rivalry between Texas State and UTSA. That's had 4 games, all of them losses to UTSA. In Colton saying that Craven's wrong, that Craven said that UTSA doesn't really care about this because what do they have to gain from beating Texas State? They've already done it. They've proven themselves. This is not even a must win. This is like they're gonna win. Like I don't even think you can bet on most of these games on public betting platforms because the spread is so high at this point.
One time I did bet, and it was a 28-point spread in favor of UTSA. That was when they came to Texas State and beat us by like 30 with Davenport at defensive end. So, yeah, here's the thing. I like where Colton's head's at. I like the idea. But UTSA's rivalry with UNT is more potent than their rivalry with Texas State. They're in the conference. They play each other. UNT consistently has a competitive team. UTSA is really on the rise. I told you when we were doing the podcast in December, I could not drive anywhere. I live in North Dakota, and I would be listening to sports talk radio. And nationally, it was Jeff Traylor all the time on Sundays after UTSA wins. In the state of Texas, it kind of gets like overshadowed with Jimbo Fisher and Sarkisian and all these other things. On the national level, when you talk about college football, UTSA was top 10 storyline, what they were doing. So he's right. Craven's right. Now, you gotta give the other fact here, Jacob, that it's not just a guy who doesn't have any connections with anything. Give the full story here.
Well, Craven's dad, I believe, was the doctor at UT. So Craven grew up in the locker room.
I don't care about that.
And ultimately, he went to UTSA. So Craven is a road runner by trade, by education.
And Colton is a
Bobcat.
And everybody that was arguing with Craven is a
Bobcat or Bob Horn most times.
Do we yeah, right. There's a lot of people that argue with him. But yeah, today was the Bobcat fan base. Mm-hmm. I have told you guys 1,000 times that I will give you the truth before I try to sugarcoat anything. This is a podcast that doesn't hold back. We're not going to, oh yeah, Bobcats all the time. Like, we're going to tell you the truth here. You guys are wrong. You're wrong if you think that Craven is wrong, because he's right. Because for UTSA fans, Jacob, you live in San Antonio. I lived in San Antonio. Texas State really is in front of mind. It's not let's think about what Texas State's doing. Texas State is essentially the little brother. Texas State essentially is the one that thinks about UTSA a lot more. And I love Tom, and I love you, and we joke about UTSA all the time on this podcast. But don't get it twisted. UTSA does not think about us like that for football. And that's the thing that matters most. Now, basketball and baseball, yeah, sure. I think that baseball fans at UTSA probably don't love Texas State baseball. And I think basketball fans at UTSA probably don't have a very high regard of TJ and the basketball team. But for football, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Jeff Traylor cares. I think that GJ taking over this job from UIW, I think that he likes that. I think that he's like, okay, cool. UIW is not going to be a competitive recruiting issue for me in the state of Texas or in the city of San Antonio. But look at where Traylor's recruiting. It's not just the city of San Antonio anymore. He's going out. He's getting the Metroplex. He's getting West Texas. He's getting East Texas. He's getting guys from all over the state and a couple of other surrounding states too. He's not afraid to go out. Whereas Texas State, primarily, when we talk about these recruits, they're either guys who are coming from SEC schools when you talk about quarterbacks, or we're looking at the Metroplex or Houston or San Antonio or Austin, right? Like that's where we're getting our in-state guys. Jeff Traylor doesn't care. UTSA does not care about Texas State. So I want them to care. That's why I care so much. I want them to have like issue with us. I want them to be like, I can't believe that they got that commit, that we wanted that defensive end or we wanted that wide receiver. But currently, that's not the case.
I'll say too, like if I'm Jeff Traylor, just scrolling through my phone, looking at headlines from across college football, the only very scary recruit that GJ got was TJ Finley. That's kind of like the what the fuck, like you stop, everybody stopped. It blew up the internet for a day. That was our day.
It blew up our internet for a day.
Auburn Wire was writing about it.
Well, it's their guy.
Yeah.
But like, let's be honest, it's not. I don't think that got anybody. I think that got people in the Sun Belt to care. I think I got Texas State fans to care. Auburn fans clearly cared. UTSA fans, that's the third thing on their plate.
I'll say too, Zimmel, the Traylor stuff too has coincided with the Spurs tankage at just the right moment. So now that the Spurs, and I know we don't want to talk about the Spurs for too long on this podcast because it's all about the Bobcats, but I'd be kind of remiss as a San Antonio journalist to not talk about this. It's kind of all led perfectly. Like that's why UTSA is the hottest ticket in town. People know that they're going to go win. I've said it before. San Antonio loves winners. That's why nobody really wanted to go to the Brahmas games because Hines Ward couldn't get it together. Now San Antonio Spurs, who, by the way, broke the single season record for fans in a game at the Alamo Dome, which nobody could really see because the Alamo Dome is a horrible venue that's built forever ago. The court's this big and you're looking at it from way over here. Kind of tough to enjoy. But they were there because they wanted to be part of history and because San Antonio loves its Spurs. Enter Victor Wembanyama, the hottest ticket in town, got a lot better.
So you think that Jeff Traylor will leave UTSA because Victor Wembanyama is coming to San Antonio?
Nah, I think UTSA.
No, clip this.
I think it makes it a little tougher though, for sure. Because
set it up.
I got something else to do now.
Clip this. Jacob Rodriguez says Jeff Traylor leaves San Antonio because Victor Wembanyama is joining the Spurs. Because San Antonio likes winners, Spurs are going to win. UTSA is going to go in the back seat. I like where your head's at, Jacob. I love where your head's at.
Well, even Pop has said that he's not expecting to win outright.
I like this. This is a Zimmel conspiracy theory. This is Zimmel level of content creation right here, buddy. I love that. That's a good
talking
take.
to you a lot, so
that's a good take.
I
co-sign that
take beforehand. So this is all me vetting stuff, not even vetting stuff through you, going stuff to telling my coworkers this information.
Really?
Yeah.
You've been workshopping that take. I like it. I like that take.
I have. Well, they essentially nerfed UIW too. They took away GJ. They took away a bunch of players from them. So
Yeah.
Not saying they were packing the stands at UIW by any means, but they had sports fans. I guess had a few things to pick from. One was going to see the Spurs tank live in person and seeing every other player that came into town, or you can go to UTSA, get drunk, and watch the team win. What's more fun?
How many people go to those games?
A lot of people go to the games. I'll say I think our tailgate atmosphere is better. I haven't been out to the Alamo Dome parking lot. It does get pretty rowdy, so to speak.
Yeah. I just that stadium is huge, and I saw one of the greatest college football games of the 21st century there, TCU in Oregon, and there still was empty seats. So I can't imagine UTSA playing SMU on a random Saturday, like packs the stands. You know what I mean? So I was curious.
Yeah, I don't, because even when we played them, like there's a lot of San Antonio alums at Texas State in San Antonio area, right? Texas State alums in San Antonio. Actually, that's one of the more active alumni chapters too. But Still
think
really
it's the
wasn't
most
packed when we
active.
were. Still really wasn't that packed when we were over there. So
The alumni chapter in North Dakota, it's we're doing numbers up here.
yeah, I mean, 100% engagement from you, so it was pretty good. Yeah, I would never go against Craven though on Twitter. That's a tough battle because Craven has receipts, he has takes built in, ready to go.
We're shills for Dave Campbell, man.
Yeah, long live Craven. I had some Texas State headlines to get through. I'm gonna breeze through these, everybody.
Okay.
Texas State lost an assistant coach, Robert Guster. He's headed off to New Mexico State. He was with coach or Texas State as a whole. Also, this is the worst clip job I've ever seen in my entire life. Do you see this? They pen tooled all around his head from his Twitter Avi.
Ooh, yeah, that's a rough one.
That's a rough cut. I guess shout out for making a graphic, but maybe don't make it if it looks like that. He was with Texas State for 7 years, and I think he's, trying to get a new coaching job, like a head coaching job in the future. Good time to make a move. Also, we're in a Discord chat with a bunch of Texas State fans. Their reaction, well, I mean, it's a better basketball program. And you just said earlier, too, the Sun Belt Conference is telling coaches, hey, get serious about this scheduling shit, man.
Yeah, no, they really are. They said, hey, we need you to do that, do a little bit more so that, like, when you get a win, your net rating goes up, Whereas if you're playing, School of the Blind and Deaf, like, you're not doing a whole lot.
When the hell was the last time we've been ranked basketball side?
For the Sun Belt?
For us.
Oh, Texas State, 1997, maybe?
Yeah, like
I don't think we ever cracked the top 25.
Not in the modern era, for sure.
Georgia State, I don't even know if they have. They got a pretty good program.
Zimmel, we're national champions, buddy. Get the banner out. Golf.
Ooh.
Golf, baby. And this is a team, we were kind of hard on at the beginning of the year. They won the National Golf Invitational Tournament, which is essentially the NIT tournament for the men's golf teams who do not make the NCAA tournament.
Hang the banner. Hang the banner. Hang the banner. All right, Elite Sports, this is on you guys. Print the T-shirts, my guys. Print the freaking T-shirts. Put the logo, squaring around, national champs, golf. Get the logo going. Booking agent, get me a golfer. All right? That's your job now. Hashtag national champs. Hung a banner before who? Men's basketball. Women's basketball.
Marcelo
football,
Garza
baseball
was the best scorer on that one. Get
him on the podcast. Bring him on here. We can, you know what? We'll finally put a rest to our golf debate that we have every week.
And you know where he's from? Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Mexico, bro.
Damn. This guy feels like he's a perfect intersection of this podcast.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
So we can finally end our golf debate. And this is the last thing I want to talk about, also related to baseball. I think there's a little bit of snubbage in those end of season awards. Texas State obviously didn't have the greatest year, but to only have Levi on that second Sun Belt team, kind of a snub to me.
So you think Mora should have been there, don't you?
I think Mora or Ben McClain. I think you could argue that Dalen had a really good year too, but
Did Mora get any freshman honors?
No.
See, now that's a problem because he should have been either in the running for freshman.
The dude from Coastal who's on defense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
16 home runs? No, sir.
No, sir, he did not. I would have gotten Mora for that starting second baseman spot.
But he basically took out our entire team every single day we played Coastal. So I don't know, a little bit of snubbage, but even looking at the Sun Belt Conference Awards for softball, it was only Jessica that got any honors. So pitcher for pitcher, basically on both.
They went well. They went. I think that it went a couple years ago. They gave Texas State too many awards, if that's fair. We got a little bit too much credit sometimes, and now I think that it went the other way. The pendulum swung back.
I was surprised we had so many Sun Belt honors on the football side too. I went back and kind of went through. We had wide receivers, kind of get a lot of skill positions, get a lot of love. And I was like, that's interesting.
Shocking, no offensive lineman ever got love. As quarterbacks getting sacked left and right. The offensive run game is averaging like a yard per carry. It's just real surprising the offensive line didn't get any love.
I texted you this earlier this week. They signed another DB. Shout out West Virginia, bounce back to Texas State. He's got like 4 years of eligibility left. Looks like he's going to be great addition to our team, provided we're never on the field for the offense. Because I mean, assuming this is our rotation, you're talking about 3 or 4 guys coming in every other play. Like, what's up with that?
You'd rather have too many DBs than not enough.
You're right, because we haven't gotten any big boys lately, and I'm a little nervous because we don't have a true center. Not saying anybody can't step up into that role, but a little limited on the big body side, I'd say.
You got some time. Got some time.
Yeah. I think, what is it? June? It's like middle of June, whatever. Insert middle of June date, but that's like the next portal date. And these guys are already tweeting like, ooh, I emoji. And that's when everybody gets excited on Twitter. But if I see another skill player, I'm going to shake my head a little bit. I need some big
beat
body.
some ass.
Yeah.
I get it. No, but you got offensive linemen. They're not a dime a dozen, but you can seduce them to come here. And offensive line is one of those positions that, like, the schemes I don't think are going to be that complex when it comes to like having to learn it. So I think you totally could get a center in June and be fine by opening day.
Best unit we had at the spring game, according to GJ, was the running back room. Room we didn't see basically at all was the tight end position. If we don't have a true center and somebody has to fill in, takes another body off, right? Obviously. And then you're going to have to use either a running back or a tight end as like that 5th blocker, essentially. So I don't know. I think we're starting to show a little bit of our hand. We're peeking at our cards a little bit.
God forbid. I've never seen a running back at Texas State throw a good block. That's the other thing. I've never seen them throw a good block. So that makes me nervous. You're right.
I remember seeing Keenan Brown absolutely destroy somebody.
No, a blocking running back is hard to find at Texas State. A lot of undersized running backs.
Cool. I think that's basically it, Zum. It was a nice check-in. And let's hope those cardiac cats pull through, man.
Hell yeah, brother.
Fear the monkey. Fear the reaper. You want to do a last-minute hoodoo voodoo on the team? Good vibes out there? Come on, Cats!
Let's go, Cats.
Kelly Dampus is focused on helping us have the best football program in the Sun Belt Conference. I can tell you in just his short time here, he's been instrumental in our recruiting. He was instrumental in the hiring of our football staff, and he's been instrumental in providing exposure for our football program. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Kelly Dampus, or K-Damp, as some people know him, to come up and say a few words.
Hey, thank you, Donnie. The K-Damp is sticking around.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.